Hey everyone, welcome to A Full Timeout. Tonight's guest has been within the SIPAG community for the last 3 decades. As a player, coach, instructor, and president, he has been through all the ups and downs within the organization. But say what you will about the man, he knows how to win. Currently, he works as a manager in the pharmaceutical industry and is on the executive board for NABA. We want to welcome Champ Albano to the program. Hey Champ. He's connected. I think you're familiar with this guy, JC.
I heard the name. Sounds familiar.
Hey. Champ, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, good evening. Thanks for having me.
What's going on, Champ? How are you?
All is fine in the woods. Just trying to make the most out of this situation that we're in. But for the most part, I'm glad to be able to join you guys in this in your new segment. First of all, kudos to you guys. Job well done. I've been hearing great things since you guys started this, and I'm just so happy to be part of it.
Oh, we're happy you join us.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
So on episode 2, we had our older brother Banjo on, and he explained his transition coming into the open division, and particularly his experience playing behind SIPAG's 5. So I'm interested to hear what your perspective is.
Well, for me, it was surreal because I was there from day one. When that team was built, I was there from day one because Banjo and I we had front row seats. Our dad, he was a coach of that team, and we were able to go to the practices. All the practices that they had, Banjo and I were able to go, and just to see them grow and mature through the years. I mean, I'm not sure if people remember the early days. They weren't really winning championships yet, because they're still young and they were just still trying to find themselves. And I was one of the biggest fans. I was in the stands, just cheering them on. During the early days, and then obviously, during the Dynasty days. Like in the height of their run. I mean, as a young basketball player, it was exciting just to be part of that history. And then when finally you're able to be on the same court as them, it's like, a part of you is like, all right, you're a teammate now. But then another part of you is like, wait a minute, I can't believe I'm in the same court as my idols, growing up, people that I looked up to, so it took me a while to kind of adjust, not that I was scared, not that I was like a deer in the headlight, but it was kind of like, wait a minute, I can't believe I'm actually playing with these guys. But I can relate it to this, imagine, for us, as diehard Knicks fans, imagine us growing up being a diehard Knicks fan and then finally getting an opportunity to play, for the New York Knicks, so for me, it was that type of level.
Is there any player in particular you looked up to or try to model your game after?
Being a guard, I looked at the guards for the most part, because obviously, I had to play that position. But, growing up, Chris, obviously, he kind of took me under his wings, and, he just, being an older cousin, he took me around, in my basketball journey. He kind of helped mold my game, so being with them, for practices or just shooting around, like just going to the park just to shoot around with them, like, you can say that, some of his game rubbed off mine, but also too, you know, um, Romel's game, like, back then, like, we weren't really known, like Filipino Americans weren't really known to be you know, a great basketball player, but Romel's the one that really put us in the map, like, so growing up, seeing him play, I took some, some of his game into mine, and but I would, being a guard, I would have to say, like, just those two guys, and you know, the five were the five, like they're like the originals, and I can honestly say, like, with the five, like, I can get some of their games, and kind of like, intertwine into my game, like with edge energy, like right off the bat, like, I like that, high level intensity. Not too many people know, but Paul Bano, he was more like a hustler. Like Paul was mostly like a defender, and he just, he made his hustle play. So, when I would see him guard, other players, like, I would observe how, how he got down, in athletic stance and played D, and that I took some of that. And even Jerry, like Jerry was a post player. He 3 to 5 feet away from the basket. It was hard to guard him. Like, he had so many moves down low. So I'm not known for a post player, to be a post player, but I was able to at least incorporate that, some of that into my game as well. But just being a guard, I looked up to mostly, the shooters and the ball handlers and the defenders, on that team.
The way you just described, like how you were able to observe their games and kind of take something from each one of those guys that you looked up to, like that's crazy for me to hear, because I feel like we need to see more videotape of their games, to really share with everybody, let them get an idea of how the ball movement looked like, how intense their defense was, and they were, for me, like one of my early memories is their ability to just go on scoring rants, like just scoring in bunches, score, press, turnover, recover, score. Like, I just remember that. And then Chris Albano capping off with like a transition 3 or something like that. And like, those are some of like the early memories that I had. And if we had, during Chris's interview, he mentioned the summer season leading up to NABA, and how your practices were in the rat hole, and or in Jersey, wherever you guys were able to find a court. You as one of the younger guys, obviously knowing you, like, you're super competitive, even back then, still being in high school. But like, can you explain how intense those battles were? What was your role in the mix, and give us a little more insight.
For me, like, seeing them practice and scrimmage against each other, like, I know it's a stretch, but we all heard the story about the Dream Team and their preparation for the '92 Olympics. That practice time that they had in Monte Carlo, it was like the best scrimmage that they ever had, and they said it was like the best competition. I agree, like those practice scrimmages that that team had, that the early SIPAG teams had, were pretty much high intensity. Everyone's playing for pride. You have two sets of brothers on the team. You had Chris and Paul, the Abano brothers, and you had Ed and Jared, the Grossman brothers. So in these scrimmages, they they separated the brothers, you know, and of course, like, you know how it is, like this with every sibling rivalry, you know, one wants to win over the other, you know. And then when Banjo and I, you know, came up, it was the same thing. You know, you had one sets of brothers on one side and the other sets of brothers on the other side. So like, everything was for bragging rights, you know. But the intensity was, you know, far none.
And who
You know, it was that type of level.
who set the tone for the workouts, for the practices? Like who, you know, out of your memory, who do you remember kind of being
As
the
far
one?
as the players,
Yeah.
you know, like if I can give you guys a snapshot, you know, like we all came up as basketball students of the game, and then when we're playing, we all came up with a competitive fire. You know, it's hard to explain, but you know, like it's special to be a part of a group where everyone was so competitive, you know, and with each other, you know, because as everyone's competitive level rises, the whole team rises, you know. So it's hard to say like one person was the one that really was a catalyst, you know, that got everyone, you know, playing at a higher level, because to their own, to each, you know, individual, like we were just, we want to make sure that our teammates knew that, hey, we're taking this seriously, and you know, there's only one purpose, and that purpose is winning. You know, we weren't there to hang out. You know, when we crossed the lines, we weren't there just to hang out. We were there to make sure that, you know, we're gonna win. We're gonna prepare ourselves for whatever tournament that we're gonna play in, and you know, we're not coming home empty-handed. You know, so I think if, you know, everyone's coming from different basketball programs across the island, you know, in their own right, like, you know, they came up with that competitive fire already, you know. So when we all got together, it was just like, all right, you know, let's do this, you know, like, you know, you raise your game, I'm going to raise my game. And then, you know what, like collectively, the whole group is raising their game, you know. And we were leaders, like, you know, the older guys, like, you know, it's, you know, it's kind of funny, but like, if you think of like the Wu-Tang Clan, right? I don't know why I'm using this as an analogy, but like, think about it. Like there's a big group of them, you know, but individually they can stand on their own, you know. But then once you put the group together, like it's unbeatable, you know. And that's like the type of thing, the chemistry that we had, you know, like everyone knew their role when we needed to play. And you know, if you step your game up, you know, I can't just sit back and have you just, you know, do your thing. You know, I got to make sure that I do my thing too, so that, you know, at the end of the day, like we're gonna win this thing.
Talking about NABA, so like for the last 30 years, you've been one of the SIPAG constants. You came into the open team playing with the five. Eventually, you know, you and your brother, Pat Pilar, Miguel, you guys kind of took over a little bit. But then there was those couple of years where it was just you, and you know, you had some of us on the team. You had, you know, we were recruiting other guys. Talk about some of the adversity, like, you know, being by yourself, you know, especially having early experiences with success. And, you know, eventually you were able to capture championships with just you. You were able to figure it out. So can you walk us through like those experiences?
Right. I'm going to backtrack to that. Well, first of all, yes, you know, those are great experiences, you know, like, you know, obviously it's a cycle, right? I mean, when it got to the point that it was me that was like the elder statesman of the team, you know, I was just trying to pay it forward, because, you know, what the players before me did for my generation, like myself, Banjo, Miguel, you know, Pat Pilar, even Mike Sala, a couple of players that that I was thrown in the mix with. We were just trying to. I was just trying to make sure that the legacy, the SIPAG legacy, will carry on to the younger generation. To when you guys were coming up. I'm gonna go back to what you said, like recruiting. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Like I never recruited like players to come with us, to come play with us, because I felt that with the group of players that we have in the program, the juvenile, bantam, peewee, even the Tykes divisions, I felt that as an organization, we should have enough players in our group to be able to bring up and represent SIPAG, right? First and foremost, like, I wanted to make sure that we had our homegrown SIPAG players, on our squad, but then obviously, whatever, depending on on the makeup of the team, like obviously some years people couldn't commit to come and play for the Labor Day weekend tournament at NABA. So of course we had to invite other players, but we had to be. I wanted to be very selective on who comes in to play with us, because the culture of SIPAG, it's unique. Like it's like protecting our legacy. Like we can't just ask any other player that's available out there just to play with us. There's like a certain standard that you have to live by if you're a SIPAG player. Like once you wear that uniform, the blue and orange, like this is not like any other team that you played for in the past. Like it's like I want to say it's like the Yankees. Like like you gotta be kind of like prim and proper. You gotta be a good role model citizen. Like I mean that again, like that's like that's a stretch, but it's really the truth though, because any player that we have on our team, they represent not only the team, not only themselves, but they represent the whole organization. And to be a member of the SIPAG Open team, like basically you're playing for the marquee division of the organization. And up at NABA, you're playing in the marquee division of NABA, and which is the open division. So it's like we're very particular of the type of players that we have. I mean, obviously, we want to make sure that that standard is met by all of our players. But when it was my turn to kind of like lead the team, like I took the challenge. Like, look, winning is not guaranteed, guys, and we all know this. Winning is not guaranteed, but I love challenges. I'm loyal to my team. I'm loyal to SIPAG. Like we've seen and we've heard other players like jumping ship from one team to the next, like every year. But I wasn't about that. And I'm pretty sure some of the players on our squad, they're invited to jump and join other teams, but like it's different in SIPAG. Like people would want your spot. If there's an opportunity to play for SIPAG, they would want your spot. It's a privilege, and again, like going back to it, the challenge was there. Obviously we all have to put in the work. But I wanted for you young guys coming up, I wanted you guys to take the lumps, like even if we weren't going to win the whole thing, or if you know, maybe the scouting report is that we got a little weaker because we don't have a lot of veterans on the team. But, you know, like the experience that the young guys get, you know, going through the trials and tribulation, it's worth it, you know, once the whole group matures and gets to that championship level, you know, because I went through it. I know the older guys before me went through it, and it's really the fabric of SIPAG. You know, like people know we don't recruit. You know, we don't recruit. You know, but it's, you know, it's the fabric of SIPAG. You know, like whether we win or lose, we're going out fighting. You know, but hey, you know, it wasn't easy when you guys came up, but we did produce championships, you know, so I'll take it, you know, I'll take it.
And definitely 2009 was definitely special for us three, but along with, you know, Miguel, because you and Miguel were the vets at that time. But that was special, especially for me personally, to be able to win with you. You know, that's, you know, that was cool. Just transitioning to, you know, the development of SIPAG and the SIPAG clinic, and, you know, even the leagues. You know, how did SIPAG help you prepare for high school basketball and then later on college basketball?
You know, it was really, SIPAG is a big part of my life, you know, and talking about my basketball journey, you know, it really helped me out in my basketball journey, because, you know, we all know SIPAG Sundays, right? So having SIPAG throughout, you know, the basketball season, and even, you know, in the off season, you know, it made me more, I guess, I don't want to say more committed, but basically it gave me an opportunity to hone my skills, and, you know, practice what I was trying to experiment, you know, to add to my game. And it kind of like, you know, made sure that I was on my track, you know, because, you know, we all know this, you know, when you're young and you're playing basketball, you know, sometimes, like, you know, once the season's done, like you get a little complacent, you know.
We're just experiencing some tech difficulties.
You know, to really improve on your game, and it's you know, the coaches are not around anymore. Well, what happens, you know, back then and even now, you know, once your CYO season is over, or your high school season is over, at least, you know, on Sunday mornings or on Sundays, you have something to look forward to practice, you know, some things that you want to work on. Or, you know, if you're playing in the SIPAG men's leagues, you have competition that you can face to make sure that you're sharp, you know, your skills are improving, and you know, your basketball mind is sharp, you know. I know, like, my teammates, whether in CYO, in high school, and even in college, like, you know, they knew that I was a SIPAG product, and they always wanted to be a part of it. But I told them, like, you know, it's kind of exclusive. You know, and but, you know, like, without the SIPAG basketball program, I wouldn't know, you know, how far I would have gotten, you know, as far as, like, my basketball journey, you know. It was just, it was a very, it was very real, you know, like it really made me the player that I am, or the player that I was.
All right. So speaking of the player you are, you play with like a certain intensity and a desire to win. A lot of people have said it's you know, it's hard to play with you, and you know, kind of hard to like mesh and get along. on the court. What do you say? What do you say about to those people? I guess you could call them haters. I mean, but at the end of the day, like, you know, you're winning. So what do you say to those guys?
I mean, I don't know who they are, but, you know, like, I wouldn't call them haters. You know, I would say, you know, like, maybe I was just like in another level, or, you know, my experiences were different from their experiences, you know. They, you know, they can probably say I was difficult. They can probably say that, you know, it's kind of hard to mesh with Champ. But then, you know, in all fairness, I can probably say, well, you know, what have you done? You know, like, what have you done to prepare yourself to get into this level? You know, like, if we're talking about the open division, like, you know, have they put in the work? Have they played with the competition that I played against? You know, granted, you know, I played only up to college, you know, but still, you know, like, the level of competition I was playing against. I mean, I was playing in high school. I was playing against all Americans, you know, and in high school I was playing against future NBA players, and I was guarding them. You know, then when I play at SIPAG, or we play, you know, in the all Filipino leagues, like, you know, I'm guarding, you know, someone who maybe didn't play high school, or someone who didn't play college, definitely someone that didn't play with the same competition that I did, you know. I mean, maybe I was misunderstood, you know, but if they're on our team, you know, I'm only looking out for them, you know, like, and I'm only, if anything, I'm only trying to get their level of intensity up, or their level of play up, because, you know, it's a team sport, right? So if I'm one of the five guys in the court, and the other four players are not playing, you know, with the same level of intensity that I'm playing at, you know, how the hell are we going to win? You know, how are we going to win? I mean, I can't be the center. I can't be the power forward. I can't be the, you know, small forward. You know, I'm going to be the guard or the shooting guard. Like, I can't play all five positions, you know, like, but, you know, like, I will ask him that, you know, but, you know, like, if ever, you know, like, if someone has felt like that, you know, regarding myself, like, you know, like, I I I can't help it. You know, I can't, you know, I can't do anything about it. You know, it's either you got it, or you don't, you know, at that time, you know. And, you know, like, if I wanted to play tennis and my intensity is the way it is for basketball, I'll be fine, right? Because I'm going at my speed, you know. But in a team sport like basketball, like, I would need the rest of the other four guys. If they weren't playing at the same level of intensity that I was, you know, I'm going to need them to step up. And I mean, I wouldn't, you know, bully them or anything, but, you know, like, hey, you know, like, we got to step, if they're not playing hard, like, someone has to, you know, be that person on the court to kind of, you know, prod them along the way, you know. To that, I'll just say that, hey, look, you know, we're a team, you know, our mission and purpose is to win the game, you know, but, you know, don't take it personal if it's coming from me. If I look at you, and if I, you know, say something to you, like, it's nothing personal, you know. And if anything, is I'm just trying to get them to play at a higher level, you know, because if I see potential in them and they're not realizing their potential, you know, then it's a sin for me not to say anything to them. It's a sin for me not to kind of, you know, maybe show them the way, you know, if they don't realize it themselves, you know. But
That's all right, champ. I understand you now. Thanks for figuring me out.
Hey, look, man, it's all about love. And we always hear this too, like, right? If a coach doesn't yell at you, or doesn't, like, you know, scold you during practice, or if they don't correct you, they always say, then, you know, then they don't really care for your
Okay.
development,
Right.
right?
Also,
So
champ,
that
I
was it.
felt a lot of your love over the years, man. If that's the case, then
That was
you
it.
must love me a lot.
I
But
care. Like, you know what? Like, I know, and it's funny. Like, if I didn't care, you can half-ass it. You cannot walk past half court. Like you're not gonna hear from me.
Right.
Like if I didn't care.
I mean, like I
right.
said,
Like,
with the question, we were still winning, but it was, it's good to get a little more insight. Mission
I
accomplished.
mean,
and and you know what too? Like, think about it, man. My role as a veteran on those teams that we had when you guys were coming up, like I wanted you guys to taste the championships too. It wasn't just me. Like, I've already done it. I've already, I've already experienced, that the dynasty runs. I've already experienced, like, the championships in the past, and then now to have you guys come up, dude, that's joy in my part, man. Like, to see the happiness and the joy when you guys, win a championship, and you're winning it for the first time. And to make it more special, like, say with you, JC, like, I have a younger brother on the team. JJ, I have a younger cousin on the team. Like, think about it, man. Like, that's, that's joy for me, man. Like, as a veteran, like, you see a young, like, rookie or a young player, winning, like, that's joy for an elder statesman and a veteran, because you kind of like experience the whole thing again through your eyes, because like everything is so brand new to you guys, and it's like it gives me like the chills right now, like talking about it, because I remember when I was young, when I was coming up, and whether if it was the complete five on the team with us, with the young bucks coming up, or three or four of the five on the team, like they were happy for us, when we got our first championships, and I wanted to kind of like pass it along to you guys, because eventually you guys are going to have to pass it on to the next generation, and so it's that, again, it's I was just trying to protect the legacy of CPAG, like that was it, man. Like, think
I
about
think
it, like
for JJ and I and a couple other guys beyond Jed, that's kind of where we're in that position now in terms of being the veteran guys. And fortunately for us, we were able to experience that and share that with some of the younger guys in Montreal in 2018. So I definitely know and understand like how you're explaining the feeling and what where your perspective is now as an older guy. Because back in 2009 when we won our first one together, I was I was younger, so that that was an entirely different emotion. But it was refreshing to hear your honesty and somehow explain and clear the air for those who may not have a chance to really understand where your intensity comes from and where your competitiveness comes from as well. Because again, we shared one bathroom in the house of 8 people, so I definitely see where your intensity
look,
came from.
like, and even like for the younger basketball players going through their basketball journey now, just tell them. And I tell my own girls, like, as long as there's a scoreboard, as long as there's competition, you have every right to win. You're not trying to show off the other person or to show off the other team, because they're doing the same thing to you. So why not win? As long as they're keeping count, why not win? And then obviously it's everything in life. Whether you're in your own profession, like if you're not winning, guess what? Someone else is winning. And
Absolutely.
It's true.
so go for it. Why not? Why not you?
Champ, can you give us a quick Buddha story or your favorite Buddha story?
No, there's so many, right? But with Buddah and myself, we started our NABA journey together. Buddah was when the first time that the Pee Wee division was ever in a part of NABA. SIPAG had a team, and Buddah was my first coach, and we won the championship. And then my first year in the open division, and Buddha's first year coaching SIPAG in the open division, obviously, he was my coach. So we have a long history together. But Buddha's first Pee Wee championship and open division championship I was a part of. So I always say, like, without me, then Buddah wouldn't be Buddah wouldn't be the legendary coach that he is.
I hope he corrodes your feet tonight.
I miss you, Boots. Rest in peace, man. We miss you.
Champ, before we let you go, I just have a couple of quick questions for you. Why do you wear number 2?
Back in '91, the Knicks drafted Greg Anthony, and the number 2 looked good in blue and orange, so I adopted it, and the rest is history.
What's your highest scoring point game?
37.
Who is your favorite SIPAG teammate?
There's so many, right? But I'm going to be biased. It's
I'm just waiting for your answer.
You know what? Here it is. I actually have 2. Okay, I'm going to play that this way, right? So,
this guy.
So, Banjo and I started our journey together, right? And we went through the trials and tribulations of getting to where we were, getting to where we wanted to be. And so he's one. Even though, playing with the Fab Five was an experience, playing with Miguel, Patrick, Mike Sala, Paul Miranda, Richie Cruz, you name it. It was experience playing with those guys, and they're phenomenal. But with Banjo and I, we basically had to make our mark. Nothing was handed down to us. Just because our dad was a coach, it didn't mean we were gonna have the same success as people expected. We actually had to go through some bumps on the road to get to where we got through, as far as our career, basketball career went. When Banjo wasn't around, again, not that he's my brother, but JC was my favorite teammate as well, because now now I have a younger brother on the squad, and for me, for some reason, every time we're on the court, anytime someone fouls JC, like my big brother brain, it's always on it was on mode, so for some reason I always have to protect him. I always have to make sure he's not hurt. He's bigger than me, but I'm always watching where he is so that so that I know he's okay. And I don't know, maybe it was just my big brother instincts that I always had, but
well, like I said, champ, definitely felt all your love. Definitely felt the love throughout the years, champ.
That's awesome. And JJ, dude, you know that, man.
Anything, man.
Look, man, family's family, blood is blood. When you go to war with people, it's special. So you're up there too, man.
Appreciate it. Okay, one more. In one name, who is the SIPAG GOAT? Can't say yourself.
Romo. Okay. I was just saying, can I? No, Romo Santos.
We have to try to get these guys on. But champ, thank you for coming on. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks for the support again with this segment. And we hope everybody tunes in for next episode. But till now, So let's bring it in. Kill on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Kill.
Kill.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on, champ.
fellas. I really appreciate it. And keep doing what you're doing, guys. You know, keep shining. And I hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks for watching A Full Timeout.
Till next time.
You got it. Take care.